everyone. Welcome back to Wait It Gets Better. This is episode 50. I'm so excited. I can't believe I got to this point. But today's topic is bipolar disorder. Yes, I chose my own diagnosis as episode 50 because I thought getting to episode 50 was meaningful. So I wanted to mark the occasion by talking about my own diagnosis. So I have been diagnosed bipolar since I was 18 years old. I've spoken about this previously, but originally I was diagnosed with ADD, which I have spoken about previously. And um it can easily be confused with bipolar disorder. A lot of the symptoms are similar. At 18, I went into psychosis from not being treated for the right mental illness. I remember during that time I was having heavy mood swings, crying, and then switched to happiness. And I was just an angry person. I would snap at people easily and was irritable. But also I was an angsty teen and with a not so easy home life. It was a combination of stressors as well as the chemical imbalance in my brain while it was developing at 18. And I used to feel so ashamed to share my diagnosis because there was such a stigma and people love to throw it in your face when it's convenient to their argument with you. But I had a friend actually. I called her out for being a shitty friend at 20 because she completely blew me off. She said, I can see why everyone says you're bipolar, as if I'm supposed to be hurt and ashamed because I was holding her accountable for her bad behavior as a friend. Now, it took me many years to start to be cool with my diagnosis. I wear it like a badge of honor. When I was when I was going to Stony Brook University, I was involved in a club called the Humanology Project, where the mission was to help eradicate the stigma of mental health. It was the perfect thing to get involved with because while learning more and more, it helped me stop feeling ashamed of my own mental illness. So mental health has definitely become such a passion of mine because of my youth being spent dealing with psychiatrists and developing an understanding of what was going on inside my own mind and coming to a place of acceptance with myself. It has really helped me become passionate about helping other people along on their journeys as well. Because within my own, I have dealt with so much and even developed other mental illnesses such as PTSD along the way. And I was late to writing this episode in which this is relevant to the topic actually. I ran out of my medication on Friday and was having a hard time finding a new nurse practitioner. Thank God I found one. I found one, I got my medication, I'm good, but I was off of it for like 2 days, but I found a holdover by CVS. Thank God for them. They gave me like a holdover for 3 days, and I found a doctor in between. And now I am with a new doctor for my medication. But I was having symptoms of like irritability. I didn't feel like I was in the right mindset to do this. I wanted to do this with a full deck, and I didn't feel like I was. I felt not as much like myself, and not many people in my family really recognize what was going on with me. I really kept it to myself. I was quiet around that time. So, and it pretty much, I was struggling. Let me speak up on this. I was struggling to find a new nurse practitioner. Yes, I did. I did kind of like take my time finding one. I should have looked sooner. But in the meantime, while I was finding one, the first one that I had an appointment with completely blew off my appointment. His receptionist was very rude, and that was that. The second one, understandable, he was very professional. He said, unfortunately, it was on Teledoc. He said, unfortunately, I can't prescribe you your current medication. Gave me a list of reasons. Understandable, was very helpful. And he gave me suggestions, and he said, you know what, I wouldn't mess around with your medication. From what I've seen what I see here about you, you've been on this medication for 10 years. It seems like you've been stable. Otherwise, they would switch on your medication. So I would suggest staying on it. Because I did ask him, I said, oh, well, what if I stay with you? What do you suggest a medication for me? And he's like, no, he wasn't trying to sell me on a new medication just to keep me. Because most doctors do that because they don't care. But he was very caring, very helpful. So I don't fault him for that. But I finally found one. I went on ZocDoc and I found one. My appointment was yesterday. It was good. It went well. And now I got prescribed my medication. I'm all good. So like I said, it was my fault partially for procrastinating. but also that first doctor that completely just blew off my appointment. And I left my original nurse practitioner office because she left the practice and nobody told me she left. And I was still going to therapy otherwise in that office. And in the meantime, nobody felt the need to tell me that she left because I saw that my last appointment with her was canceled. And I didn't think to ask. I'm like, okay, maybe she was sick or something. But no. And then I followed up and I said, well, I'm due for medication. When was anybody? I emailed my therapy office and when was somebody going to tell me that she left? And nobody told me, and she kind of blamed me for not knowing the lady left. I'm like, isn't it the receptionist's job? So I left there altogether, but it was my fault for in the meantime not, inquiring about finding a new nurse. I had like 2 months to do it. So that was my fault. But I do, in the meantime, the new nurse practitioner I'm with is suggesting me seeking therapy. I have to do all these other things. So I will get back on track with that. So thank God I found one. But that's why I said I'm a little late because I was having little issues with my medication. But we are back on track. So let us continue on. Let me see where I left off because I kind of just went off on a tangent without reading my notes a little bit. Let me see. Let's see. Okay, so the medication. I also want to talk about the medication I'm currently on, which is risperidone. I've been on it for like 10 years now, and it has kept me pretty stable for 10 years. Now, medication works differently for different people. So I will say that just because I'm sharing what has worked for me doesn't mean it's going to work for the next person, but I'm just saying I when I was first diagnosed bipolar, I don't even remember what medication I was on, but I do know that whatever medication I was on from 18 years old up until I was like 23 stopped working at a point. So I was hospitalized for a second time back in 2015. And the doctor that I was on and that I was with in the hospital suggested risperidone, and I've been on it ever since. I've been stable ever since. So we found the perfect medication for me, and I wouldn't change it. It's been you know what, I've accomplished a lot of great things on this medication, so I don't want to change it. But like I said, some medications work for people and some don't work for other, like, just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for the next person. But yeah, so let's get back to the topic. There will be more story time along the way. I'll speak on my family history, but let's dive right in, you guys. So what is bipolar disorder? I asked what bipolar disorder is. This is what the research said. Bipolar disorder is a disorder associated with episodes of mood swings ranging from depressive lows to manic highs. The exact cause of bipolar disorder isn't known, but a combination of genetics, environment, and altered brain structure and chemistry may play a role. That is exactly what my nurse practitioner told me the other day, because he was asking me all, because it was a new appointment, so he was asking me all about my history. He was like, so how did you feel back when you were first diagnosed? What was going on? Like, how was your home life? And then he was giving me a little bit of an explanation. And even before that appointment, I wrote this episode. Before that appointment yesterday, I wrote this episode. And I said a lot of my issues with before I was diagnosed was the stressors at home, my chemical imbalance, just a whole bunch of different things can cause it. So exactly what this says is what I knew of it, what my doctor said, and what the research said. So that's exactly what it is. It's a combination of genetics, environment, and altered brain structure and chemistry. So manic episodes may include symptoms such as high energy, reduced need for sleep, and loss of touch with reality. Depressive episodes may include symptoms such as low energy, low motivation, loss of interest in daily activities. Mood episodes last days to months at a time and may also be associated with suicidal thoughts. Treatment is usually lifelong and often involves a combination of medications and psychotherapy. Now, from my experience, what I can say, when I was 18 years old, it was the year it all started for me with that. I was very suicidal. So also, let's just say this. I wasn't being treated for the right mental illness. So I can say maybe a lot of my suicidal ideation came from a combination of the stressors, 100%. Maybe I was just depressive, but a lot of the depressive episodes and the suicidal ideation came from the bipolar and not being treated for the right thing. Um, I do remember it started that September of my senior year of high school, a lot of the really bad bits of it. And I remember I was just very depressed, very suicidal. I just didn't want to live anymore. And it was a combination of a bunch of different things. And I just remember from that September, excuse me, up until that April is when I was feeling that way. And then I remember like that May is when I was hospitalized. But from that April up until that May, I was hospitalized the week of my mom's birthday. I remember it was May 1st is my mom's birthday. So I was hospitalized maybe like a few days prior, and then from her birthday a little bit after. So from April up until May is when it was like prime time of what was going on with me. So I felt a lot of highs and a lot of lows. I was really happy. I was really sad. I started crying for no reason in class one day, and then I started being really, really happy, really hyper. I would sleep really, really well, or wouldn't sleep at all. Like it was just a bunch of things. And I was 18 years old, going to high school. So, and it was that time where I had to write a thesis for school. I had so much going on. Like the end of your senior year, you have to write a thesis. So I was writing a thesis. I had a lot of prime time things going on. Like I was about to graduate high school. So it was bad timing, but it was also like a normal thing for if you're not being treated for the right mental illness and you're 18 years old and your brain is developing, you have a lot of stress. And not saying it happens to everybody, but what my specific circumstances, yes, was bound to happen. So there was that. That's what I remember of that. So let's get back to it. Now, bipolar disorder causes extreme mood swings between high energy, hypomanic episodes and low energy, depressive episodes. Manic symptoms include euphoria, excessive energy, racing thoughts, talkativeness, 100%. I still have that. I'm a very talkative person. I love to yap. Talkativeness, decreased need for sleep, inflated self-esteem, reckless behaviors. Depressive episodes involve overwhelming sadness, hopelessness, loss of interest, fatigue, trouble concentrating, and thoughts of death or suicide. 100% I had a majority of those leading up to my first psychosis back in 2010. Yeah, so I can say exactly what I had because I want people who are experiencing similar things to feel like you're not alone. I went through the same thing. A lot of talkativeness, racing thoughts, 100%. Euphoria, yes. Reckless behaviors, yes. Depressive symptoms, yes. I had that. Overwhelming sadness, yes. Hopelessness, yes. Loss of interest, yes. Fatigue, yeah. I had trouble concentrating, 100%. I had all of that. Now, symptoms of a manic episode. The mood includes intense feelings of euphoria, excitement, and irritability, 100%. There's no in between. Energy and activity. Abnormally high energy, feeling jumpy or wired, and being more active than usual. Increased need for sleep. Thoughts, racing or jumbled thoughts, and rapid talkative speech, 100%. I am medicated, but I'm still a yapper. I love to yap. I can yap, yap, yap. Self-esteem. Inflated self-esteem or a feeling of being unusually important. Behavior. Engaging in risky behaviors like unsafe sex, excessive spending, or taking drugs. Now, for me, my one downfall with the last one is definitely excessive spending. I love to shop. I'm a shopaholic. Earn back when I was going to school, and this was the class, my first 101 class back at Suffolk, when I was going to Suffolk Community College before Stony Brook. I learned a lot about when it comes to like mental illness. Bipolar disorder, a lot of people with bipolar disorder have shopping addictions. Like I know that's definitely me. They do correlate the two. So I'm like, okay, that kind of makes sense now because I love to shop. Like I'll just literally see something, I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get it. So yeah. There's that. Symptoms of depressive episodes: mood, feeling very sad, hopeless, worthless, or empty. Extreme fatigue, low energy, and a loss of interest in things once enjoyed. Sleep, difficulty sleeping, sleeping too much, or experiencing insomnia. Cognition, trouble concentrating or making decisions. Self perception, feelings of worthlessness or excessive guilt. Thoughts, thoughts of death or suicide, other manifestations. Hypomania, a milder form of manic episodes with less severe symptoms. Mixed episodes, experiencing symptoms of both mania and depression at the same time. Psychotic symptoms, in severe cases, individuals may experience symptoms like hallucinations or delusions. I remember my second hospitalization back in 2015, so this was 5 years after my first one. I was experiencing a lot of delusions along the fact where, like, I thought I saw a laser being pointed in my room at night, and I was just so afraid. I'm like, someone's coming to kill me. Like, I thought somebody was trying to kill me. Like, I was so paranoid. And according to my doctor in the hospital, he said my medication stopped working for a while. So that's what caused me to have the second hospitalization. Let me see, both mania and depression at the same time. Less severe symptoms, thoughts of suicide. I didn't have thoughts of suicide during my 2015. That was more in my 2010 hospitalization. But I did have a lot of like hallucinations and delusions where I thought I saw like a laser being pointed into my room, and then I thought that somebody was trying to kill me. Like I hid in the shower and I was telling my family somebody's trying to kill me. Like it was oh my god, it was a tough time for me. I was struggling. Now the three main types of bipolar disorder are bipolar 1 disorder, bipolar 2 disorder, and cyclothymic disorder. So when I was asked actually yesterday, it is interesting. I was asked by my nurse practitioner which one I had. And to be honest, I was like 18 years old. I was still in psychosis. I was like recovering from my psychosis when I was diagnosed. I wasn't really told directly what I had, but I know my mom knows, and she completely forgot. This was like 15 years ago, so we both forgot. But I wish I knew. But there's a difference between them, and I'll get into that just right now. Bipolar 1 involves full manic episodes, while bipolar 2 includes hypomanic episodes, less intense than mania, and major depressive episodes. Cyclothymia is characterized by prolonged periods of less severe hypomanic and depressive symptoms. Now, there's a breakdown of each. Now, bipolar 1 disorder, the key feature is at least one manic episode that lasts for at least 7 days or is severe enough to require hospitalization. Other symptoms may include major depressive episodes lasting at least 2 weeks and mixed episodes. Mania, a period of intense energy, elevated mood, racing thoughts, decreased need for sleep, and impulsive, risky behavior. Mania can involve psychosis, a break from reality. Bipolar 2 disorder, the key feature, at least one major depressive episode and at least one hypomanic episode. No full manic episodes. Hypomania, a less severe form of mania, characterized by increased energy and activity, but without the extreme consequences or severity of a manic episode. Depression, people with bipolar 2 often experience longer and more frequent major depressive episodes. Now, let me see what this says. I have a feeling like maybe, because I was very suicidal. I'm thinking maybe bipolar 2 is what I was diagnosed with. But I'm not quoting myself on that because I'm not full. I'm curious. I hope my nurse practitioner looked and he's able to see what I was fully diagnosed with when he looks in my files. And I hope he know, like, I would love to know too, so I can gain more of an understanding. Like, I have an understanding of what I have, but I don't fully know the complete and specific diagnosis. Now we have cyclothymic disorder. Key feature is at least 2 years or 1 year in children or teenagers of numerous periods of hypomanic episode symptoms and depressive symptoms. Symptoms intensity. The hypomanic and depressive symptoms are less intense and do not meet the full criteria of hypomanic or major depressive episodes. The nature of the symptoms, Symptoms can vary, leading to periods of stable mood mixed with milder hypomanic and depressive periods. Now, other types of bipolar disorder can also occur, including those brought on by substance use, certain medical conditions like a stroke, or other factors. Now, bipolar disorder affects daily life by disrupting mood, energy, sleep, and concentration through manic high to depressive low episodes, leading to challenges in work, relationships, and self-care. Manic episodes can involve impulsivity, risky behavior, and feelings of euphoria, while depressive episodes bring sadness, fatigue, and feelings of worthlessness. These shifts can make daily responsibilities overwhelming, damage relationships, and increase the risk of physical health issues to suicide. Now, how does it manifest in daily life? This is what is said. Mood and emotions. Individuals experience shifts from intense happiness, excitement to irritability. Energy levels. During manic episodes, there can be extreme increase in energy and activity, leading to overconfidence, recklessness. In contrast, depressive episodes often result in severe fatigue and lack of motivation. Sleep patterns. Both manic and depressive episodes significantly disrupt sleep, with individuals either struggling to sleep or sleeping excessively. Now, concentration, decision-making, difficulty concentrating and making decisions can occur during both manic and depressive states, interfering with school, work, even completing daily tasks. Now, the impact on relationships and responsibilities. Work and school, inability to fulfill daily responsibilities can lead to job loss, poor academic performance, and general difficulties with school and work obligations. Relationships, mood swings, impulsive behavior can strain family and friend relationships, causing conflict and disharmony in the home. And daily tasks, even simple tasks can feel overwhelming. Depressive episodes leading to general struggle can carry out daily activities. Now, here's what I will say, okay? Not all of that, yes, 100%, it's true. But don't think ever, just because you have bipolar disorder, that you will not be able to go on and accomplish great things. Just because, yes, these things happen if you're not treated for it, but you having bipolar disorder doesn't make you any less capable of accomplishing things, having great relationships, keeping a great job, and accomplishing great things, and getting things done in life. Don't ever think because of your diagnosis, whether it's bipolar disorder or anything else. I was once told that I'm limited in the things that I can do based on my diagnoses and the things that they were found out about me. But no, that is not true. And we all know that. So definitely, I say all these things from what the research says, but as I'm reading it, I'm thinking, okay, yes, these things can be true. But also, it kind of leaves a stigmatization behind bipolar disorder when it says, like, oh, well, because a lot of people think that, oh, you know what? Just because somebody has bipolar disorder, they don't know how to keep a man, or they don't know how to keep relationships, or they can't accomplish things. Like, no. But it can be true if you let it get to a point where it starts affecting your moods and behavior. That I will say, yes, okay? But on the other hand, it's not necessarily always true if you are taking care of it, is what I will say. So, broader health and safety concerns. Beyond functional difficulties, bipolar disorder poses significant health risks. Physical health with the condition are at increased risk for other physical health problems, such as heart disease, high blood pressure, and migraines. Risk of suicide. The presence of suicidal thoughts or behaviors is a dangerous aspect of bipolar disorder and can be a risk during both manic and depressive episodes. Associated conditions. Bipolar disorder can also co-occur with other mental health disorders such as anxiety and substance use disorder. Now, bipolar disorder doesn't have one specific cause, but rather is thought to result from a combination of genetics, differences in brain structure and function, and environmental factors such as stress, trauma, or sleep disruptions. Substance use, certain medications, and changes in hormones can also trigger or worsen symptoms. Now, these are the genetic factors. Family history. Bipolar disorder often runs in families, indicating a genetic component. A child with a parent who has the disorder has an increased risk. Now, I will speak on that as well. I got it from my mom's side. but I'll talk more about that in a second. Now, the brain structure and function. Neurotransmitter imbalance. Some research suggests that bipolar disorder involves a dysregulation of neurotransmitters and imbalances in brain chemicals. Brain differences. There may be a difference in brain structure and function in individuals with bipolar disorder compared to those without it. Now, the environmental factors, stress and trauma. Significant life events like trauma, illness, and financial or relationship stress can be triggers. Childhood trauma can also link to an increased risk. Sleep patterns, disrupted sleep patterns are both a symptom and a trigger for bipolar disorder episodes. Hormonal changes. Hormonal changes, especially in women during pregnancy, can trigger episodes. Now, substance abuse, alcohol, and recreational drugs can cause symptoms similar to mania or depression and may increase the risk of developing bipolar disorder. Medications. Some medications, including certain antidepressants, can cause manic or depressive symptoms as a side effect of withdrawal symptom. Complex conditions. Bipolar disorder is a complex medical condition, and the exact cause is still not fully understood. Triggers versus causes. While certain factors can trigger episodes, they are not necessarily the sole cause of the disorder. Now, focus and management, recognizing triggers and getting appropriate treatment can help manage symptoms and prevent episodes from becoming severe. Bipolar is diagnosed through a thorough mental health evaluation by healthcare professionals, often a psychiatrist, which includes a physical exam and medical tests to rule out other conditions like thyroid disease. The diagnosis relies on assessing the lifetime pattern of mood episodes, including severity, length, and frequency of manic, hypomanic, depressive episodes, and will often involve reviewing your personal and family history. A mood chart may also be used to track your mood, sleep, and other factors over time to help identify patterns and provide accurate diagnosis. The diagnostic process. Physical exam and medical tests. A doctor will perform a physical exam and order blood tests to rule out other medical conditions with similar symptoms, such as overactive thyroid. Mental health evaluation. Psychiatrist, excuse me, guys. A psychiatrist or other mental health specialist will conduct a comprehensive evaluation. This involves reviewing symptoms, discussing your mood changes, behavior, energy levels, and sleep patterns, assessing history, asking about your personal family medical history, including the use of drugs or alcohol, and gathering information from others. With your permission, family members or close friends may be asked for their input on your symptoms. Mood charting. You may be asked to keep daily diary of or log of your moods, sleep patterns, and other potential triggers or symptoms. Evaluating patterns over time. Since bipolar disorder involves changes in mood over time, doctors need to understand the full course of the disorder to make an accurate diagnosis, not just focus on current symptoms. Why diagnosis can be challenging. Overlapping symptoms. Bipolar disorder shares symptoms with other conditions like depression, anxiety, ADHD, and schizophrenia, making it difficult to distinguish. 100%, that's what happened to me. And yes, 100%. So I never will say, I will never hold resentment. Now that I'm more educated in mental health, I will never sit there and say that I have resentment to my psychiatrist from when I was 13 up until I was 23, because but it is, now I have an understanding of that it is easily confused. Depressive episodes. People may seek help only during a depressive episode, and the less intense hypomanic episodes that occur with bipolar 2 disorder might go unnoticed. Now, varying presentations. The disorder affects everyone differently, and symptoms can vary in their severity and frequency. Now, this is story time. I was told growing up that my disorder comes from my mom's side. Her aunt, who was her father, that passed away from bladder cancer when she was 13. His sister was bipolar. Now, during her time, she was put in Pilgrim State Psychiatric Center, which is in Brentwood, New York, Long Island. Now, this is way back in the 60s and the 70s, and my mother spoke about going to visit her often with my grandfather, and she also said how it would scare her because her aunt's symptoms would go from like really, really highs to really, really, she would be laughing, 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 and then be really, really, really sad. And my mom was like, a young girl, and mind you, her father passed when she was 13. So I could imagine she was way younger than that, going to see her aunt in the hospital with her father. And you can imagine at that age seeing somebody with bipolar disorder, and you're seeing them go through all these ranges of emotions, and you're young and you're like, what is going on? So when my mom tells me that, I'm like, it's understandable, but as you get older, you start to get a little bit more of an understanding of it. So I asked, is bipolar disorder genetic? Now, I spoke on that in some of the previous research information that I gave, but this is what it specifically said on this question. Yes, bipolar disorder has a strong genetic component. Studies have shown that individuals with a family history of bipolar disorder are at an increased risk of developing the condition themselves. Now, this is the evidence for genetic influence. Family studies, people with first-degree relative, parent, sibling, child with bipolar disorder have a 5 to 15% chance of developing the disorder compared to 1 to 2% of the general population. Twin studies, identical, monozygotic, monozygotic, I think. Twins have a much higher coordinates rate for bipolar disorder than fraternal. Dizygotic. I don't know how to say these guys, so just please excuse me. I'm not a doctor. Twins suggesting genes play a significant role. The genome-wide association studies. These studies have identified multiple genes that are associated with an increased risk of bipolar disorder. Now, forgive me for this part, you guys. This is a part that talks about specific genes related to bipolar disorder. Now, give me a second while I adjust my leg on my bed, because I'm doing this from my bed today because it's late at night. Because I won't be able to do it tomorrow afternoon because I'm going with my parents on a little camping thing. So, okay, so specific genes. Hold on, guys. Give me a sec. Let me adjust my leg. Ugh. Sorry, that's my bed making noise. It's not me. I'm not farting, I swear. Okay, hold on. Let me adjust this. Okay. The specific genes, let's get into it, you guys. Excuse me. It is called the CACNA1C gene. This gene is involved in the regulation of calcium channels in the brain, and mutations in this gene have been linked to bipolar disorder. Now we have the ANKH gene. This gene plays a role in the transport of sodium ions to the brain, and it also can be associated with bipolar disorder. We have the BDNF. This gene produces protein that is important for brain growth and survival, and reduced levels of protein have been found in people with bipolar disorder. Now, other factors, while genetics are a significant risk factor, it is important to note that they're not the only factor that contributes to the development of bipolar disorder. Environmental factors such as stress, trauma, and substance use can also play a role. Bipolar disorder has a strong genetic component, but it's likely that multiple genes and environmental factors interact that cause the condition. If you have a family history of bipolar disorder, it is important to talk to your doctor about your risk and how to monitor your mental health. Now, getting back to my mom's aunt, her name was Aunt Kay, who was the woman that was institutionalized with bipolar disorder when my mom was a kid. I was curious. Now, when it comes to institutionalization, this was back in like the 60s and the 70s. Mind you, my mom was a kid. I was curious about during those times what the research said about institutionalization and bipolar disorder. And this is what it told me. Yes, it is accurate that people with bipolar disorder were often institutionalized. Guys, excuse me, I can't talk. People with bipolar disorder were often institutionalized in hospitals in the 1960s and 70s. This practice was largely ended by the deinstitutionalization movement, which involved a shift away from a large state of mental health hospitals toward community-based mental health care. Now, why people were institutionalized? Guys, what is going on today? I can't say institutionalized. I'm having a hard time. Okay, so harsh conditions and lack of treatment harsh conditions and lack of treatment options. Before the widespread use of effective medications, people with severe mental illnesses, including bipolar disorder, were often placed in asylums. These institutions frequently had overcrowded and inhumane conditions. Treatment was often limited or non existent, and patients could be confined for years with little hope of being discharged. Now, the need to protect society. Many people were sent to hospitals not to be cured, but to remove them from society. An uprising at St. Peter's State Hospital in 1969 revealed that many patients were considered too dangerous to be managed in the community and faced no prospect of leaving. Now, the lack of alternatives. For much of history, institutionalization was the primary way of dealing with severe mental illness. People with conditions like bipolar disorder, which was often called manic depression, were frequently hospitalized. Guys, I can't talk today. Frequently hospitalized. I can't. Were frequently hospitalized for long periods, sometimes for 6 months or more. Now, guys, I can't talk today. The decline of I can't. The decline of institutionalization. Several factors drove the It's like a tongue twister. I swear I'm educated, okay? You can be educated and still mess these words up. Okay. Several factors drove the deinstitutionalization movement during the 1960s and 70s. Development of medication. Starting in the 1950s, introduction of psychiatric and mood-stabilizing medications, such as lithium, made it possible for many patients to manage their symptoms outside of an institution. Now, Community Mental Health Act of 1963. This federal law aimed to create community-based facilities to treat people with mental illness, offering an alternative institutionalization, I finally said it correctly, without messing it up. The Civil Rights Movement, a greater emphasis on human rights during this era, helped highlight the injustice of involuntary commitment and the poor conditions in many state hospitals. Legal rulings, including the 1975 Supreme Court decision O'Connor v. Donaldson, restricted involuntary commitment to only cases where the person was found to be dangerous. Financial incentives. In 1965, the Medicaid program was passed, which financially incentivized moving people with mental illness out of state-run hospitals and into other care settings, such as nursing homes. Now, consequences of deinstitutionalization. Despite the good intentions, the deinstitutionalization movement created new challenges. Underfunded community care. Underfunded community care. Many of the community mental health centers promised by the 1963 Act were underfunded and never fully established. This left many people with serious mental illness without adequate support and resources. Now, the revolving door. Without proper support, some patients ended up in a cycle of short-term hospital admissions, followed by homelessness or incarceration, rather than long-term rehabilitative care. Now, she was institutionalized right at Pilgrim State Psychiatric in Brentwood, New York, in Long Island. My mom would often pick me up from the area of that guy's house, or when I was going to Suffolk Community College, which is in Brentwood, and she always told me about her father and her aunt and spending time there as a child, and how like she said, it would scare her. It would be scary because she didn't have an understanding of what bipolar disorder was. She was a little girl, so understandable. But that is where my illness comes from, my mom's side. Now let's talk about coping strategies with bipolar disorder, and this is what the research said. Coping strategies for bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder is a mental health condition characterized by extreme mood swings between mania and depression. Managing these mood swings effectively requires a comprehensive approach that includes medication, antidepressants, mood stabilizers, and antipsychotics can help regulate mood and reduce the severity and frequency of episodes. Therapy, psychotherapy such as cognitive behavioral therapy, or interpersonal therapy can provide support in education and coping skills. Now, establish a regular routine. This is lifestyle modifications. Establish a regular routine, maintain consistent sleep, meal, and exercise schedules, manage stress, identify and avoid triggers that worsen mood, get enough sleep, aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Get enough sleep. I just said that. Excuse me. I had a minute. I was having a little gas come up from my throat. I'm like, let me get the microphone away before I burp into this microphone. So I was like, hold up a second. That's why I was quiet. Okay. Eat a healthy diet. Focus on nutrient-rich foods like fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. Exercise regularly. Engage in physical activity most days of the week. And self-care practices. Practice mindfulness. Use meditation, yoga. Oh, I love yoga. I got to get back into it when I get the chance. Deep breathing exercises to reduce stress and anxiety. Engage in hobbies. I love doing my hobbies. I still do them. Pursue activities that bring joy and relaxation. Keep a mood journal, track your emotions, symptoms, and triggers, and identify patterns that improve self-awareness. Connect with others, seek support from family, friends, and support group. Educate yourself, learn about bipolar disorder, its symptoms, and effective management strategies. And some additional tips. Develop a relapse prevention plan. Identify early warning signs of mood swings and have strategies in place to respond promptly. Seek professional help immediately. Don't hesitate to reach out to a doctor or therapist. If symptoms develop or worsen, new ones develop. Be patient and persistent. Managing bipolar disorder is an ongoing process that requires patience and effort. And take care of your physical health. Regular medical checkups, vaccinations, and screenings can help prevent complications associated with bipolar disorder. And remember, coping with bipolar disorder is an individual journey that works. What works for one person may not work for another. It is important to find a combination of strategies that effectively manage your symptoms and improves your overall well-being. Now, here is some advice on how to not stigmatize a person with bipolar disorder in your life and what you can say to them and what not to say to them. Now, give me a second, you guys. I have to get up. The way I'm sitting on this bed, I should go back to doing it from my desk because I was more like in a better position. Okay, let's go back to it. So, let's get to some advice on how not to stigmatize a person with bipolar disorder in your life and what not to say to them. Now, avoid saying that everyone has mood swings, using stigmatizing words like crazy or a maniac, telling them to just snap out of it, or offering simplistic cures like exercise more. Instead, listen, validate their feelings, use empathetic and respectful language, and offer concrete support for their treatment plan. Now, phrases to avoid. Minimizing or comparing symptoms. Everyone has mood swings sometimes. Everybody has bad days now and then. Lighten up or cheer up. At least it's not that bad. Avoid saying any of that. And avoid saying things like stigmatizing or judgmental language. You're acting crazy, psycho, maniac. Why can't you just be normal? You're just looking for attention. Oh, 100%. I was told that by somebody who was supposed to be my best friend at the time. Excuse me. You guys, I don't know what it is. My Chinese food I ate tonight is making me, I'm having the burp. So if you hear me go quiet for maybe 5 seconds, because I'm moving the microphone away from me to just not put it into the mic. I have my water next to me. So, I'm going through it right now as I'm trying to do this. But okay. Excuse me. Now, suggesting simple solutions. Try to avoid doing this. You just need to get a grip or pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Or telling someone just get a job or you should get off all those pills or you need to exercise more. Don't tell people that. Discrediting their experience. It's all in your mind. What's your problem? Or what makes you think anyone cares? Or why aren't you happy? You have it so good. Or here's what to say instead. I see you're going through a tough time. How can I support you in a way that's helpful? I understand that this feels real for you. Encourage treatment and offer support. Acknowledge the complexity of their condition and support their adherence to a treatment plan. Offer to help with daily tasks and support them with breathing exercises. And maintain respectful communication. Use respectful, considerate language and keep a calm tone to reduce tension. Now, I asked research what triggers bipolar rage. Now, bipolar rage can be triggered by stressors like financial worries, relationship issues, and work strain, and also by sleep disruption, substance use, and sensory overload. Routine changes perceived by criticism or even travel across time zones can act as triggers. Identifying identifying individual patterns through journaling, maintaining regular sleep and eating schedules, seeking support from healthcare professionals, and a strong social network are key to managing these triggers. Stress and overwhelm, common triggers, stress and overwhelm, financial issues, professional strain, and complex social situations can contribute to stress, which can trigger anger. Sleep disruption, insufficient or inconsistent sleep patterns are sufficient trigger for mood episodes, including rage, and can disrupt emotional regulation. And we have substance use, excessive alcohol or drug use can interfere with emotional control and worsen bipolar rage. Routine disruption, maintaining structured routines is beneficial for people with bipolar disorder, and disruptions to those routines can lead to angry responses. Now, sensory overload. Loud noises, bright lights, and crowded, busy environments can overwhelm the senses and contribute to anger. And social interactions. Perceived criticism, rejection, or feeling misunderstood can act as triggers, especially during manic or mixed episodes. Travel. Crossing time zones can disrupt sleep patterns and act as a trigger for mood episodes. Travel. Crossing time zones can disrupt sleep patterns and act as a trigger for a mood episode. Journaling. Keeping a notebook to document event. Managing triggers. Journaling. I breezed way past that part. A little context would help with this part. So managing triggers is what this part is. Journaling. Keeping a notebook to document events leading up to episodes of irritability, to identify the personal patterns and common triggers. Social rhythm therapy. Engage in treatment approaches such as social rhythm therapy that help establish consistent sleep and diet and exercise habits. On medication management, work closely with a doctor to manage medication and address the side effects that may contribute to irritability. And support system. Build a strong network of supportive family and friends who are aware of the condition to help recognize and manage triggers. And environmental control. Actively limit exposure to known triggers such as noisy or crowded environments by going to a quiet, calm space. Now, give me a second, you guys. I'm going to grab myself a chug of water because my throat is a little dry. And, I'm out of water. My family is telling me I'm out of water, so I'll get that in a second. Got a little sip of it. So let's get down to the part. I am batting 1,000 here, you guys. I'm having really annoying burps as I'm talking, and I'm having a dry throat. So as soon as this is done, I'm gonna grab some water and go to bed because I have to wake up, and I'm going with my parents for the day to enjoy a nice little camping getaway. So these are celebrities with bipolar disorder. We have the Christmas Queen, Mariah Carey. In 2018, Carey revealed that she has bipolar 2 disorder and has been receiving treatment for it. Now, that's I like when celebrities speak out about it because so many people look up to her, and when you're somebody struggling with that, you love to hear the person you look up to speak about it. For me personally, even though this was later on in life and it was way after, it was like 15 years after my diagnosis is when I discovered this person had it, which is Selena Gomez. I look up to her immensely. We can relate 100% on having it, but I'll get to that part in a second. We have Demi Lovato, an award-winning American singer, songwriter, actress, and television personality. She has been open about her struggles with bipolar disorder since 2011. I didn't know that. See, in 2011, I was 19 years old, and I was struggling with being stigmatized with my bipolar disorder. I wish I would have known to follow her and the things she says. I really wish I would have known about this sooner because maybe it would have made things a lot easier for me when it came to that. But as I said, I got better with it. I wear it as a badge of honor at this point. But at that time, it would have been a lot nicer to know this. I wish I knew. Okay, so we have Carrie Fisher, the late and great Carrie Fisher. Um, she was an outspoken advocate for mental health advocacy, and her openness about her experiences with bipolar disorder helped to break the stigma around mental illness. Stephen Fry has been open about his struggles with the condition and has been a prominent advocate for mental health awareness. Catherine Zeta-Jones, the beauty that she is, um, an Academy Award-winning actress who has also struggled with mental health awareness. And I spoke about this previously. I said she did around the time that this was going on, where she was speaking about having bipolar disorder. I do remember it was like from what I remember, it was like earlier in the 2000s, and I remember being like younger, and I don't even think I knew that I had bipolar disorder at that point. And I do remember people being harsh about her diagnosis, so I do remember that. Selena Gomez, my queen, in 2020, Gomez reveals her diagnosis after being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Jean-Claude Van Damme, a Belgian-born martial arts action star who was diagnosed with rapid cycling bipolar disorder in 1990s. We have Halsey, the beautiful Halsey. I actually have to say, I love Halsey. I love her music. And funny thing is, my mom, she'll never. You rarely hear her comments on a celebrity and how beautiful they are. She saw Halsey, it was like years ago. She saw Halsey on an SNL promo with somebody. My mom goes, wow. She didn't know who she was. My mom was like, that woman is pretty. She's gorgeous. I'm like, I'm looking at my mom like, I've never heard you. So obviously, she's genuinely a gorgeous woman, but I love her for her music, what she stands for. But Halsey was diagnosed at age 17, has been committed twice to mental health treatment. You have Russell Brand. Actually, I just saw this, and based on the controversy surrounding him, I will not speak on him. No, thank you. We have Jane Pauley. We have a former Today and Dateline host who has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. Yes, I know this man is very controversial, but we have Kanye West. He was diagnosed in 2016 and has been open about his experience with the condition. The only reason I chose him and not Russell Brand, yes, Kanye is known for his many controversies. I'm not condoning anything, but, as somebody who, he's just Kanye West, I will speak on it. I will say, yes, I will speak on him. Russell Brand is accused of many outlandish things. When Kanye West, I was a fan of him at one point before he became anti-Semitic and became, the controversial person he was. But I'm speaking on him because at one point in his career, I was an actual fan of his. And unfortunately, this is also a good reason I'm speaking on him, is because he chose not to continue his medication. You see him have a fall from grace. So that's why it's obvious that I'm speaking on him. There's many layers to why I'm speaking on him and not Russell Brand. Okay, so Linda Hamilton. Hamilton has struggled with depression and bipolar disorder for 20 years before being diagnosed in her 40s. Mel Gibson. I'm looking at this list and I'm like, oh my god, it just keeps like, is there it makes me think, like, is there a correlation between bipolar disorder and people having these like outbursts of like saying and doing controversial things? Like maybe they're having manic episodes. Like I'm genuinely maybe one day I will do it. I'm not going to speak on Mel Gibson. As much as I loved him back in the day, he's another one. But I will do an episode where I will try to correlate mental health and celebrities having a fall from grace. Maybe I'll do an episode with that. But okay, Mel Gibson. In 2008, he revealed his diagnosis in a documentary called Acting Class of 1977. It's like, because if you look at a lot of these people, There's like 3 people on this list that have had a fall from grace that were at one point at the top of their career. It makes me sad. So I think for one of my future episodes, I will do like an episode on mental illness and the correlation between that and a person's fall from grace. We have Linda Hamilton. She has struggled with depression. Oh, I think I did this one already. Okay, we have Kurt Cobain, one of my favorites, the late and great Kurt Cobain. Cobain struggled with depression and bipolar disorder, which contributed to his untimely death in 1994. We had Richard Dreyfuss. Dreyfuss has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder since childhood and has been taking lithium to manage his mood. We have David Harbour. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder at age 26 after experiencing a manic episode. He has said that his mental health is tied to spirituality. Sinead O'Connor, the late and great Sinead O'Connor. O'Connor spoke openly about her struggles with mental health, including bipolar disorder. Bibi Rexa, the beautiful Bibi Rexa. She revealed her diagnosis in 2019 and has said she's not ashamed of her condition. Winston Churchill. Churchill's doctor diagnosed him with bipolar disorder, and he referred to his depression as his black dog. Amy Winehouse, the late and great Amy Winehouse. She's actually one of my favorite voices as like a singer in the entertainment industry. I remember doing like a questionnaire on Instagram. I was like, "Who's your favorite? Who's the favorite voice of a singer?" And I picked her. I love her. I loved her voice. Amy Winehouse struggled with both addiction and bipolar disorder. She was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and admitted to having bipolar disorder. Ernest Hemingway, he struggled with bipolar disorder, severe depression, and paranoid delusions. He was also an alcoholic. We have Maurice Bernard from General Hospital. I used to watch this all the time as a kid. It was her favorite soap opera, and I had the biggest crush on him. He was Sonny. He is still Sonny. He's still on the show. Sonny from General Hospital, an Emmy-winning actor who has been an advocate for mental health awareness. He has been diagnosed with bipolar disorder at age 22. We have Patty Duke, one of the first celebrities to publicly share her life with bipolar disorder. She became a mental health advocate, writing a book about her experience. And we have Brian Wilson. Wilson was diagnosed with bipolar disorder after experiencing auditory hallucinations that presented in the form of disembodied voices. Now, here are some resources for bipolar disorder. Now, give me a second before I read them. I have to adjust myself on this bed. This bed is so uncomfortable. I can't wait till the day that I can afford to get a better mattress, a bigger bed. Like, I can't do it with this bed anymore. And it sounds like I'm farting every time I get up from it. So, excuse me. I was like, oh, stand up my phone. Oh my God, you guys. I'm a mess. Hold on. Let me adjust myself. Ugh. Okay, what part are we on? Okay. Now, here are my resources for bipolar disorder, including national organizations like the National Alliance for Mental Illness, NAMI, and Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance, DBSA, offering support groups, education, and advocacy. The National Institute of Mental Health provides scientific information and resources, while local chapters, online communities such as BP Hope, and the Mighty offer additional peer support. For immediate crisis, call 911 or 988 Suicide Crisis Lifeline. I'll give that at the end. The National Alliance for Mental Health, NAMI, provides support and education for individuals with mental illness and their families, with resources available through their website National Helpline. Depression and Bipolar Support Alliance offers in-person and online support groups led by peers, educational materials, and tools like Wellness Tracker to help manage mood and symptoms. National Institute of Mental Health, federal agency that provides excuse me, my God, what did I eat today that's making me oh my God, okay, anyways, a federal agency. I'm like having gas through my burping a lot, excuse me guys, and I'm trying to get this episode done. I'm having a dry throat, feeling burpy, and I'm trying not to put it into the microphone, but I'm trying to get this done. It's a struggle, so bear with me, guys. Oh my God, and I wish I put some more water before I did this. Okay, so we have the National Institute of Mental Health a federal agency that provides up-to-date information on bipolar disorder, including research findings, multimedia resources, and science updates. We have International Bipolar Foundation, offers educational videos and information on living with bipolar disorder, including resources and disability benefits. We have online and peer support communities, the BP Hope, an online community where people with bipolar disorder and their loved ones can find information and connect with others. The Mighty, a digital community that provides support and resources for individuals with bipolar disorder, their friends, and family. We have the Healthline. It offers articles on managing bipolar disorder, including strategies for coping with isolation and information on support options. I'm up to an hour already on this, guy, so bear with me. It is now, as I'm looking at the time, it is World Mental Health Day. So it is just the perfect time to release this episode. But let's get back to the resources. Now, support groups and local resources. DBSA and NAMI chapters, both organizations, have local chapters that provide in-person support groups and community resources. We have the crisis resources, the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. If you or a loved one is in crisis or fear, there might be self-harm, or fear there might be self-harm, call or text 988. Emergency services for immediate emergency medical help, dial 911. American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry offers resources for families and youth, including information on differentiating childhood bipolar disorder from other conditions. Now, here are a variety of other resources for bipolar disorder, covering support, education, treatment, referrals, and crisis help. Now, if you are in the U.S. in crisis, call or text 988, the Suicide Crisis Lifeline, or you can text the word connect to 741-741 in the U.S. We have the Depression and Bipolar Support. I spoke about that one. The Bipolar Social Club, a community email list group for people living with bipolar disorder, and one for their friends and family, bipolar caregivers, resources and support geared toward caregivers and family members. We have the International Bipolar Foundation. It provides educational articles, videos, and help finding treatment, lived experience stories. National Institute of Mental Health. I spoke on that already. It provides fact sheets and treatment information and downloadable materials. We have the National Alliance for Mental Illness. I spoke on that already, but it offers peer-led classes for people with mental health conditions. And bipolarresources.org. It contains educational materials and originally developed by the Superland Bipolar Center, helpful especially for family members. Now we have treatment and clinical referrals. The NYU Langone Health Mood Disorders Consultation Service for diagnosis concerns, medication management, referrals to therapy. We have the Mayo Clinic's Bipolar Disorder Biobank for people interested in research, diagnostic, and management info. Now we have Research and Advocacy, BD2, Break Discoveries for Thriving with Bipolar Disorder, Research Network, and projects aimed at improving bipolar disorder and diagnosis treatment. We have International Society of Bipolar Disorder for Bipolar Disorders. They provide guidelines and educational materials and events. Now, my favorite part, you guys, what I'm known for, here are affirmations, I can't even talk. I'm an hour in, and I know my throat is going to be hurting tomorrow, but I'm doing this because in honor of World Mental Health Day, it's the 50th episode. I want to get something out. It's meaningful. Now, here are affirmations specially written for people living with bipolar disorder. Now, for daily stability. I am more than my moods. I am a whole person. Stability is possible for me, one step and one choice at a time. I listen to my body and mind with compassion. Every small act of self-care supports my balance. I am learning to trust the calm between extremes. My emotions are valid even when they shift. I can love myself through every version of me. I love that. I'm going to put that on a shirt. I have so many things. I'm like, I want to put this on a shirt. And lately I haven't been doing any more designing because it is a very strenuous process. I design something and then I'm like, okay, I love it. And then I hate it. It's like a whole thing. Taking a little break. I'm going to focus on this. And I focus mostly on that. I will get back to it. But I do love that. I can love myself through every version of me. Having bipolar disorder does not define my worth. I deserve understanding, not judgment. I like that as well. I'm doing my best with what I have today. This low will not last forever. Even when I feel still, healing is happening. Rest is not weakness, it is a part of recovery. I can ask for help when I need it. I'm allowed to slow down without shame. Um I breathe before I act. My energy is powerful. I can choose where I direct it. Where to direct it, excuse me. Let me do that over again. My energy is powerful. I can choose where to direct it. I ground myself in calm moments and peaceful choices. Balance is my strength. I can enjoy excitement without losing control. Um, I have overcome. I have overcome before and I will again. I like that one. I have overcome before and I will again. I love that. Treatment helps me find harmony. I am resilient. My story is still unfolding. Um, there is beauty in my complexity. I am worthy of peace, joy, and support. Now, living in my teen years and most of my 20s, I was labeled crazy because of my diagnosis and constantly having it thrown in my face. I'm now an adult that is a mental health advocate trying to help eradicate stigma. Now, this is how you can help destigmatize bipolar disorder. This is one of the last parts, guys. I swear we're getting there. We're getting there. I'm sorry, but to destigmatize bipolar disorder, individuals can educate themselves and others with facts, use respectful language, and share personal stories to build empathy. It's also important to advocate for mental health awareness, support relevant organizations, and challenges negative stereotypes and inaccurate portrayals. Now, normalizing conversations surrounding mental health and offering support to those affected helps replace fear with understanding and compassion, creating a more supportive environment. Now, learn the facts. Understand bipolar disorder is symptoms and treatment options to dispel myths and misconceptions. Share accurate information. Disseminate facts from reliable sources to family, friends, colleagues, and your community to foster awareness. Combat misperceptions. Respond to negative comments and stereotypes by sharing accurate information and personal experiences. Use respectful language. Choose words carefully. Avoid language with negative associations such as crazy. Promote positive framing. Instead of saying mentally ill, the mentally ill, use respectful terms like people with mental illness or people living with bipolar disorder. Foster open and empathetic conversations. Share personal stories. Personal accounts can be powerful tools for building empathy and help others feel safe to discuss their own experiences. 100% this one I'm all about. Challenge stigma. Speak up against inaccurate comments or negative portrayals of mental illness. Be a supportive ally. Offer empathy and support to individuals living with bipolar disorder and create a judgment-free environment for them to share their experiences. And advocate for mental health. Support mental health organizations, volunteer, donate to amplify the work of organizations dedicated to mental health awareness and support for bipolar disorder. Participate in awareness efforts. Get involved in initiatives like World Bipolar Day, which is March 30th, or use social media hashtags to spread hope and awareness. Advocate for policy changes, support public policies that improve mental health care access and resources, and normalize professional help. Empathize that seeking treatment for mental health issues is a positive step and a normal part of recovery, and promote early intervention. Advocate for efforts like the Child Mind Institute's Speak Up for Kids Month to protect and promote children's mental health. Now, thank you guys for listening. Now, before I wrap this up, I would like to share a list of reputable brands that are celebrating World Mental Health Day, which is today. As I'm recording this, it is 12:48 a.m. where I'm at. And now it's World Mental Health Day, October 10th. Now, brands that have recently celebrated World Mental Health Day include Sephora and Rare Beauty, one of my faves. They make their Rare Impact campaign for a youth mental health. We have ASICS through its Everyday Escape campaign, emphasizing the mental health benefits of daily movement. Other brands have also focused on mental well-being, such as Spotify, hello there, with its mental health podcast hub. We have Maybelline with its focus on Gen Z mental health, and Tom's through its grants from mental health organizations. So examples of recent campaigns, we have Sephora and Rare Beauty. For the third year in a row, they renewed their Make a Rare Impact campaign to raise awareness and support access to youth mental health services through Rare Beauty's Rare Impact Fund. We have ASICS launched the Everyday Escape, which highlights how 15 minutes of daily physical activity can provide longer lasting mental benefits than a typical wellness retreat. We have Maybelline, focus on the impact of social media on Gen Z's mental health through the Brave Together campaign. We have Spotify, curated content and launched a mental health podcast hub in partnership with UNICEF to support young people's mental well-being. Brands supporting mental health initiatives. We have Tom's. They rolled out Tom's 10 by 10 campaign to help fund access to mental health resources and give grants to mental health focused organizations. We have Dove, recognized for its contributions to mental health awareness alongside brands like Maltesers and JanSport. We have Hush, Gaiam, and T-Trunk, wellness brands that offer products and services to support mental health. Now, how brands are celebrating. Brands often celebrate World Mental Health Day by launching specific campaigns to raise awareness and funds, partnering with mental health organizations, creating content such as podcasts, articles, and in-app hubs to provide resources and information. And we have promoting the accessibility of mental health support and encouraging self-care practices. Now, that is the wrap of the story time and the information being thrown at you guys for this past hour and 11 minutes. That was episode 50. Now thank you again for listening. This is episode 50. I'm so proud of myself for the work I put into this podcast, my passion project. Thank you for the support. I love you guys so much I don't know if it's none of you, some of you, or all of you. Regardless, I love you guys, and I'm thankful for the support. It means a lot. Episode 51 will be about autism, and I want to make sure I do a great job on that episode to do my sister who works in ABA, and she's very passionate about advocating for individuals with autism, and I want to do her proud as well as do a good job, especially during a time in this political climate where autism is being stigmatized by people who have no idea what they are talking about. And like I said, I don't talk politics. We can all agree that the whole Tylenol issue is a very, very ridiculous, and it creates a stigma towards people with autism, as well as making parents or mothers who have children with autism feel some sort of shame and guilt for taking Tylenol while they're pregnant. It's just like, it's ridiculous. But like I said, I'm going to do that episode in a way where I'm not talking about politics. None of that is going to be prevalent in the episode. But I will speak on, I will help advocate for individuals with autism and the things going on in current times and how we can help destigmatize that and bring facts. I'll bring facts to the table. I'll talk about I'll do story time. Many things like that to help advocate, because it means a lot to me, and I want to do my sister proud. I want to be helpful to the people in that community, people living on the spectrum, people with autism. They are people who deserve dignity and respect as well. So whatever is going on right now, whatever is being spoken about in regards to that community when it comes to politics and this political climate, I think is absolutely ridiculous. So I'm making sure to do an episode on that without bringing politics into it. But yes, I'm going to advocate. So, okay. So that will be episode 51. Also, episode 52 will be about the grief and mental health of loved ones of murder victims. And 53 will be about ADHD. So now I'm headed to, like I said, I had to go to bed, finish my laundry. I'm headed for a little trip with my parents. They're going camping, but I'm only staying for just the day for a few hours. They'll be gone for a whole week, and so I'll have Saturday to risky business around the house. If you know, you know. All of us, older people know what risky business is. You know that scene where Tom Cruise comes in the room in his underwear and a t-shirt and all that stuff. That's gonna be me Saturday. But okay. Oh my god, I definitely need water after this. So if you or anyone you know is struggling, text home to 741-741, the crisis text line for a free confidential conversation with a trained counselor at any time of day. Text or call 988. Use the chat function at 988lifeline.org. Oh, excuse me, I definitely need water. Oh my god. 980, excuse me, guys. Like, I'm telling you, my throat is dry. Excuse me. Whoa, and I don't want to start this over. I did all of that for an hour and 15 minutes. I am not starting over. So if you hear me coughing, excuse me. 988 continues to offer support to anyone who needs it, but no longer offers specialized LGBTQIA support. If you're looking for specialized LGBTQIA support, you can contact the Trevor Project directly 24/7 or call 1-866-488-7386. Let me repeat that. 1-866-488-7386 or text the word START to 678-678 or connect online at trvr.org/get-help for the same free and secure support as always. Or find more crisis resources at jedfoundation.org/crisis. The new lifeline for the LGBTQIA+ given by Canada is 1-877-330-6366, or you can call the NAMI helpline at 800-950-6264, or you can text NAMI to 62640. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you next time. Remember, this too shall pass. I love you guys. Stay well. Bye-bye.